All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alh4zr3d security stream. Give it a moment here for connecting to all the platforms, but we'll just get started with some brief introductory stuff here. First off, apologies. There was no stream last week. Stuff happened, got in the way. I try to get every Friday or Thursday, but, stuff happens. Tomorrow, flying to Amsterdam, so that's why we're doing Thursday instead of Friday. And fortunately, we have Al here. Alh4zr3d, is that correct me in my saying pronunciation?
It's close enough. Alh4zr3d, it's fine. Or Al.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Next Friday, by the way, before I forget, I'll be in Amsterdam teaching an advanced exploit development class. So my co-instructor will be presenting, and I'm probably going to stream him speaking about kernel exploitation for like a module or something. It's going to be a weird time of day for folks in the US because it's Amsterdam time, but I'll announce that and more on that later. But let's go forward with what we got here. So again, thanks for joining. This session is titled Red Teamer, Content Creator, and Practitioner of Black Magic. Yeah, so very cool. You've been doing Twitch for a long time, and I heard you're about to get started back up on that, huh?
Yeah, so I took a little bit of a hiatus because how life gets to you out of nowhere. It's so inconvenient when life starts coming out of nowhere and disrupting your plans. But I'm getting back into it. We're starting back up again in short order here. But yeah, I've been doing Twitch since I think I started the channel back in 2020. Actually, I think it was COVID. Yeah, it was COVID. It feels like it was forever ago now. It feels like it was honestly an eon ago. But yeah, it was in 2020. So somehow I've been doing this for 6 years off and on. So
yeah, that's exactly when I started this channel, was COVID.
Yeah, there you go. I needed more human interaction, I suppose. So
did you start gaming content first, or was it straight doing the hacking challenges and stuff?
It was straight to the hacking challenges. I didn't do awesome. I have done gaming content now and then, but it's rare. It's really rare. And only I don't play many video games recently. Not shading on people, not throwing any shade on people that do. Not one of those people. But like one of those, LinkedIn people that like constantly talk about how they're being so productive all the time and stuff. Like, stop playing video games and I don't know, learn about AI or something. No, I'm not being one of those people. I just like, it feels like every game these days, like, it demands 200 hours of my time, and I'm just not. Yeah. I'm not signing on for like the latest open world game that's gonna suck up 200 hours of my time. So that's kind of where I'm at with gaming. But I play video games now and then, but I stream them very rarely. It's all hacking content. If I go live, it's like 99% offensive security specific content.
Yeah, great. Yeah, a couple people mentioning your mics might be a little low. If you can turn your gain up a little bit, that'd be awesome. If you've got that capability. Yeah, it's funny because I had to stop gaming a long while ago. Like, that ended up like hacking Xbox 360 and doing some really cool stuff with the physics engine and trying to stop cheaters from pushing the standby button and like finding out it's all UDP based protocol traffic between like the game server who was assigned to one of the Xboxes and sending health check messages that say that the host is no longer able to maintain that connection. It kicks them off. Like, that all got me banned, but also led into some contract work, and I got a Xbox 360 debug unit. And I bring that up because just recently I decided to plug some harnessing kind of exploit dev into that old debug unit and found some really interesting, I mean, it's stuff that's not applicable today unless someone's running a 360, but amazing vulnerabilities that I've discovered now that I never ever would have found manually.
Did you find that with like an AI agent or something? You just like, pull it apart? Nice.
Yep. Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have access to some of the models that you have to get the security sign off on, and also training some custom models to be specialists in certain areas and stuff like that. But yeah, just fantastic results. It's mind-blowing. So what kind of work are you focused on these days?
Well, so these days, I mean, I'm in the consulting space, so you get whatever's coming down the pipe to some degree. But the majority of the engagements I'm on are either red teams or purple teams. That I'm like usually in the range of like 2 weeks to 3 weeks. I try not to go below 2 weeks, because at that point it's like, are we really doing a red team engagement, or is it just a network pen test? Because a lot of stealth is just going slow. A lot like you just that it's part of like 80% of being stealthy is not doing all your stuff all at once, and doing basic LDAP queries rather than running Bloodhound and things like that. So this stuff takes time. There's some time on network that you need in order to like actually put the defenders through their paces. So that's what I try to like emphasize in the kickoff call. If I can get us at least 2 weeks on network, that's ideal. I mean, I do red teams, purple teams. I do get a certain amount of internal and external pen tests. I was on a web app most recently, which I was not happy about. I do not like web apps and API tests. That's just a personal preference. And other than that, developing a ransomware platform for my company, and yeah, that's what it's been like for the last couple of weeks at least. Coming off of a web app. Before that, it was a red team. Before that, it was a purple team.
Yeah, I agree 100% with the long game. And a lot of times, like getting a DLL with a good payload in there, you're waiting for weeks for a callback. You know, exactly.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a lot of your content on Twitch is actually doing the CTF challenge as opposed to a walkthrough after the challenge is already completed, like taking it on. With one thing I've noticed, I was running a class like 2 months ago, and for the first time ever in the history of this class, a team was able to knock out all the challenges. And it's because they were using AI the entire time. And like, it has me trying to think, and many other people, I'm not alone, obviously, and how do you build CTF challenges that don't allow someone to just simply prompt and win. Interestingly enough, one of the challenges that all the teams said AI had struggled with was kind of like a trivia challenge I came up with, where I tell the students, hey, there's this memory address, and ever since ASLR was turned on, no one knows what's supposed to be at that address, and you're supposed to use this VM, and like gives them some more hints. And you know, the objective is to go remember to turn ASLR off when you go to debug something, make sure you have the process running, and then check that memory address, and then you can see what function lives at that address. Like a pretty simple challenge. But since they were relying on AI for everything, AI just could not do that one because it didn't have, you know, the tool access and the agency to do so. So I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, to some extent, I think I mean, we're kind of at a point where why are you putting your hands on the pull-up bar and pulling yourself up to it when you could just, I don't know, get on a stool and be up at the same level? Like that's kind of like the question you just asked me. Like, I get it that kids are going to use that, especially when they're getting into the industry. And this is going to be a huge problem going forward, that people are going to use these shortcuts.
Yep.
And they're not going to actually learn these things properly. And I'm not trying to like dog on AI or anything. I have other things, bad things I would say about AI. It would not be this. It is a useful tool. I use it on a daily basis. It is a useful tool. But you need to be able to have that baseline level of knowledge so you can scrutinize what the AI says. Like Claude spins me bullshit like regularly, and I have like NetExec doesn't have those options. What are you talking about? Like, you know, like it's you need to have the foundational knowledge to be able to call out when it's to be able to call it out. You don't just want to be you're not, AI is not going to do your entire job for you. It will never do your entire job for you. At least not in its current form. So you need that foundational level of knowledge. So it's a bit like when you're doing these challenges, these hack the box challenges and so on. Yeah, it could be that you'll point an agent. You could point an agentic agent at the box, and it'll solve it in a couple of minutes. But where was the value in that? Yeah, you could have also used a forklift to lift you up above the pull-up bar. Like, what was the? But you didn't get any value out of that, did you? You wouldn't have gotten as much value personally. The point of Hack the Box, the point of Try Hack Me, the point of these platforms is for you to train what's in here, not for the AI to just do it for you.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't use them for a little bit of assistance now and then, but you need to, like, at a certain point, it's personal discipline. It's personal discipline that you just need to do the work. Like it's yeah. So that's all it is.
Yeah, I live up in the hills, and just the other day, I heard someone when I was walking my dog complaining about not dropping any weight, and they say they ride their bicycle like 20 miles a day, yet they're on an electric bicycle. It's like, let me raise my hand and explain this, but yeah, this question always comes up, and I'll just ask it now. I usually ask it later, but it's just an important question, especially folks moving into the industry, getting into it. What would be some advice for someone working in cybersec but still trying to break into red teaming, pen testing, given AI, and your thoughts?
Oh God, that's a tough question. That's a really tough question. So I'm wondering if I was on the last chopper out of Saigon, so to speak, like with getting into the industry before this AI climate arose, so that I have the stink on me. I have the offensive security, red teaming, like experience on my resume, so that the employers are picking me up based on that, and I'm not feeling the squeeze from I don't like the idea of being like an entry-level pen tester who's trying to break into the industry right now. Like, it's not fair to you right now. The industry is not fair to you. I think it will catch up. It will get better, but the industry is not being fair to you right now with all the CEOs and money people trying to like move to AI. Okay, so first of all, I sympathize, but that doesn't actually answer your question. The actual answer to your question is you absolutely can break into it. The answer is the same as it was before AI. You need to get your certs. You got like the certs, unfortunately, are going to check your boxes on your resume. Is it expensive? Yes. Is OSCP getting more expensive all the time? Yes. Is it more expensive than it needs to be? Yes. But if you don't have the hands-on experience, which you don't because you're entry level, that's where it comes from. It also helps if you're in an adjacent industry first. If you can get into if you're in an IT job now, for example,
100%.
You can get into security in some way, get some experience. If I don't know, your company has CrowdStrike Falcon or something installed, or get with the people who control Falcon, learn about Falcon, get that security stink on you, get it onto your resume, and talk about it in the interviews that you have. Like just talk about what you're doing at your job. They love that. It is huge for interviewers when they ask you, like, what are you doing, like, to like advance your skills, and you have actionable things that you're actually doing. Like, do whatever you can to get into some adjacent industry. If you can't get directly into pen testing, get into some adjacent industry and get the cybersecurity stink on you. Get the blue team aura on you a little bit, or get into an adjacent space. And in your spare time, you should be doing Try Hack Me. You should be doing Hack the Box. And for the love of God, do pull-ups. Like, not like you like going back to my analogy from before. You should exercise as well, but I'm not saying literally get on a pull-up bar and do pull-ups. I'm saying don't use AI to solve all the problems for you. It is more than fine to use AI for little things while you're working, but you need to be doing the lion's share of the work yourself. The whole point of this is to enhance your own personal skills, enhance your fundamental knowledge of these things that you're doing. Ultimately, what I'm saying is you need to work on this. We're always going to be able to ask AI for answers to questions, and it's going to get more competent and things like that. But you need to, like, having that foundational level of knowledge is what the interviewers are actually looking for. So you need to get that. You need to work on getting that foundational level of knowledge, both on the clock and off the clock. And you need to also be. I just completely lost my train of thought for some reason. Also, getting certs. I was going to say you need to look into getting certs. If you can't afford OSCP directly, see if your company can pay for it. A lot of times, a company you're working for will pay for you to get OSCP or something, or a cert like that. If OSCP there are plenty of OSCP analog certs that are cheaper. like Hack the Box, for instance, has certs now. That'll be better than nothing. So so get those on your resume, and just keep trying. Like it's rough out there right now. I think it's going to get better, but it's rough out there right now.
Yeah, great answer. I agree 100%. Like most of us, I think, like almost all the people I work with started off in IT. Like I was a network engineer and architect for a while. I was doing development, and then slowly work your way into security. I know the game changed when cybersecurity blew up, like starting in the late 2000s, 2010s. But absolutely 100% with that one. And yeah, also agree that like even when I teach class now, I'm teaching how to do debugging and reversing manually before I show, now that you understand this and do this, like then here's how you can use AI to automate it and work with it. But still, you can't just always cheat. Or I mean, even brilliant people like Thomas Dolian, Halbert Flake, just said recently on X, he's like, I can't believe how much I've already forgotten now that I've been leveraging AI so much for development.
Yeah. It is like like Claude gets stuff wrong a lot of times. Again, I have Claude modifying my malware, so a lot of times it doesn't get the wider context of why I'm doing a certain thing. So but it is shockingly competent. Other than that, but yeah, there is that problem where things are a little bit too easy.
Yeah.
Things are a little too easy. Is it helpful, and are you going to use it? Yes, but you on the job, absolutely. When you're actually on the job, and trying to like and on network with a client or whatever, and you need to use, I wouldn't use agentic AI in that situation, but you need to ask AI for stuff. You need to get AI to help you out with stuff. That's fine. But like when you're just tinkering on your own, like you got, like, I think we're in that early stage where people don't realize how much they're gimping themselves by like taking these shortcuts. But I think there are some limitations on the tech. I think it will get better from here. I think there are some limitations, but it definitely is scary. That if you start relying on it too much, you lose if you don't use it, you lose it in this industry. So you have to there needs to be a fair bit of, we're not cavemen anymore. We're not going out and hunting the gazelle or whatever. We're now sitting in chairs looking at glowing rectangles. But you still need to get up and exercise. Otherwise, bad things happen if you don't exercise. That's kind of where we're at with AI. Like, again, to some extent, it's personal discipline.
Yep, 100%. So I see a bunch of locks back there in the background, and I've heard you've done a lot of physical security attacks. Can you tell us about some of the, I guess, craziest stories, but also stories that maybe someone could use with permission?
Oh, God. Okay, so first of all, don't do any of this that I would say. Do not do any physical security stuff without permission. Okay, that I do not endorse that in any way. However, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you are I hate to put it this way, but if you're just if you're in America and you are a white man who speaks confidently and walks like he has a purpose, you would be shocked at where you can just walk into and no one will look at you twice. Like you would be amazed at the secure environments you could just walk into if you know how to do it, and if you do it in a way that where you seem confident, like you know where you are. So that is what I will say. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Confidence goes a long way, and just looking like you know where you are and what you're doing. That's the key. The key is you're not trying in physical security. This is also true of red teaming. On the network, but in physical security, you're not trying to be Harry Potter with your invisibility cloak. You're not trying to put on an invisibility cloak and be completely invisible to everybody. That's impossible. You're never going to be that. Instead, you need to be that bug that looks like a leaf and sits on the branch and gets passed over by the birds and all of the other would-be predators because you look just like all the other leaves that are there. Does that make sense? You're trying to be the leafy bug, the leafy bug. So the key to being the leafy bug is to look like you belong, like to act like you belong, even if you have no idea where you are. So I mean, I got these stories for days, man. I got the time that I waited in a bathroom for 8 hours and then crawled through a ceiling to get to the reception area. And at the end of that one was I took a selfie sitting at the CEO's desk. That was fun. That was a fun one. There was the time that I stole the building securities, an outfit from building security, because I managed to break into where their locker room is, and I stole a building security outfit that was hanging up from out of the dry cleaners, and used it to break into an office after hours. And there's the time that oh God. There's the time I convinced the guy to run my C2 agent, to his face. Like I walked up to him pretending to be IT, and had a fake badge on. He accepted the fake badge and he just ran whatever I told him to run, man. And then I got a domain admin from the conference room across the hall. And in that was the same biotech company actually that I broke into, and took a team call from their conference room. That was the same assessment actually. But all of these are very tightly scoped. Like, you do not want the cops to come. Like there was that coal fire incident several years ago where the guys got apprehended. They didn't do anything wrong. The pen testers did literally nothing wrong. This was a galactic show of incompetence from the Texas justice system, and like just really poor communication. But that's what can happen if these things are badly scoped. So yeah, I can do literally any of those stories. Oh yeah, I see we have some of my I almost said cult members. But this is not a cult. I want to emphasize that. There's no cult happening here. There's no cult here, everybody. There's no cult. It might sound like a cult, but it's not one. Someone said, get into Pokemon Go. I used Pokemon Go as a pretense to scout out the exterior of a building once. Because this building was particularly well camera'd with a lot of security, a security presence. This is a bank. So I was a little, and because this was a bank in downtown in a extremely large American city. So concrete jungle, not a whole lot of like, I like it best when there's like a parking lot I can sit in and then watch people there's no parking lot. There's no way for me to get close without being on camera and looking like a suspicious person. So I pretended to, I didn't pretend, I was actually playing Pokemon Go. And then I ended up in a Pokemon Go addiction spiral for like 8 months after that. But like it got me. But it started as a pretense on a red team assessment, which was funny. That was a fun one. But I can tell the full story of any of these, or I can just keep going and telling the little tidbits. The people love these stories, man. These go on forever. I can keep doing these for all day.
Yeah, I worked at UPS when I was like 19. I got signed on as like a Christmas time driver, and I got to do some early morning like air runs or something. And when I left, I got to keep. I wasn't supposed to, but I kept the uniform. And like 10 years later, I got to use it during a physical security penetration test where I just
do the old invisibility cloak, man. No one's gonna look at you twice. Oh. It's either that or it's the reflective vest and hard hat. I swear to God, if you wear a reflective vest and hard hat, nobody is going to look at you a second time. You want, like, the key is you're not invisible. You just want no one to look at you a second time because you're not worth looking at a second time. Like, that's the key. And like UPS, man, reflective vest, that'll do you, man. That'll do you.
Just don't dress up like a cop. Never do that one.
Yeah, that'll draw too much attention. You don't like. There's a happy medium you're looking to strike here, and that's definitely too much. It's also illegal. I'm pretty sure it's not pretty sure. It's definitely illegal. So definitely don't do that. Don't do any of this stuff unless you have the authorization from the place that is the place that you're breaking into. Is my immediate disclaimer. I do this as a professional, and I work that like the company is paying for this service. They're paying for me to get into their buildings, or at least try. Have I ever not succeeded? I've been caught, certainly, but I've always been caught after. like there was the time. Oh man, there was the time where they onboarded me as an employee. Like that was intended. Like this was a very robust target. This target is a household name. You know who this person. You know who this company is. This is a household name. And I was testing their HQ, and they had a huge cybersecurity budget at the time. This was in 2018, I want to say 2019, 2018, before COVID certainly. And again, downtown in a major American city. And they onboarded me as an employee because they had physical security checks. They had red teams. They had purple teams. They knew, being the savvy cybersecurity defenders that they are, that their highest threat is from their own employees. Like a disgruntled employee or an employee that's negligent and leaks data or something like that. So they wanted me to simulate that. They onboarded me as a contractor, gave me a legitimate badge, gave me a laptop, gave me the whole deal. And to be clear, I was not with the company I was working for, the consulting firm I was working for at that time. But the year prior, they had tested this company in much the same way, and they were caught the first day. They were caught literally the first day because they were caught browsing shares by honeypot files, browsing shares. That was the time when honeypot files are super common. You got to be watching for those on the red team landscape. But in those days, they were not nearly as common, and they were not expecting to be caught just by browsing file shares. So that's how robust this client was at the time. So they expected me to be caught quickly. Like the goon, and when you're caught, the goon squad shows up. You are escorted out of the building. Like the whole thing happens. It went for about 2 weeks before I was caught. I managed to successfully exfiltrate data without them knowing a thing. I managed to escalate to administrator on my laptop without them knowing a single thing. And they only caught me when I used Mimikatz to get domain admin. So that's one of the coolest assessments I've been on. That was they caught me and the goon squad showed up, and I was like, I already won, man. I'm done. Like when I ran Mimikatz, I knew I was getting caught. There was no way that they were not catching Mimikatz getting loaded. It was heavily obfuscated, but ultimately it has to load the DLL. So it's gonna get caught heuristically. But yeah, I can tell that whole story. That's a cool story because that involves more lateral thinking. I guess that one had more lateral thinking. It wasn't a straight I ran Nmap and I stuff like that. I had to be really quiet and think laterally on how to as a regular employee, how can I escalate on the laptop? They told me, I want you to try and escalate on the laptop. I succeeded. They didn't see anything. So I had administrator on the laptop, and they only saw it when I took a shot at domain admin. It was a pretty confident shot at domain admin, and it did pan out. So that's a really cool one. I can tell that whole story if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think the living off the land stuff, what you have to do more of that stuff in those kind of environments would be super useful for people to hear for sure.
Yeah. So okay. So to give you the lay of the land, the laptop they gave me, I barely touched it for after I got logged in and stuff. This was in 2018, mind you. There were 32 gigs of RAM on this laptop. Again, in 2018, that was a massive amount of RAM, for a company laptop. I had never seen that much RAM on a company laptop. and I was wondering, why are these laptops so beefy? And I opened, like, the first thing I did was I opened up Task Manager to see what's running, and I immediately found out why it's so beefy. We had so many defensive solutions running, that like 15 gigs of RAM were being used just sitting on the desktop with Power Broker and Carbon Black, and CrowdStrike Falcon, and all of these things all running. They even had Windows Defender that was running in concert with all of that, which is amazing. I don't know how they managed to get it to do that. But like, they had so much defensive solutions running, so many monitoring things running. They had a breach a few years prior to that, and they got an enormous security budget and were just allowed to do whatever they wanted, essentially. So this was the most significantly monitored laptop I've ever been on. Again, the previous year, they had not managed to escalate on the laptop. Windows was fully up to date. There wasn't going to be any, there wasn't going to be any of that. And they were so tricky. Not tricky. They were so skeptical of third-party software that they did not allow people to even like install programs on their machine. Like, you could not even install Chrome. You couldn't install Firefox. You couldn't install anything. They had their own internal app store that you had to go to browse to get legitimate, or to get like approved versions of this software, which I think that's more common these days. But in 2018, it definitely was not. It definitely was not common. I had never seen that before.
I just thought you were going to say they were using Chrome. I thought you were just going to say they were using Chrome, but I needed such big RAM, you know.
I mean, it might have been. I was not even using Chrome. I was just sitting on the desktop at that time, and it was using 14 to 15 gigs of RAM. It was crazy. It was a crazy amount of stuff running. But so I did manage to, the first day, I didn't touch any goddamn shares. I'll tell you that right now. I didn't touch any shares. I browsed their internal web pages. And they had a pretty, well, this is a tech company. So they had a very robust, like, internal intranet, like, setup going on. So I browsed internal web pages that employees are allowed to browse, and I just looked for data. And I managed to get into their Bitbucket. They were using Bitbucket. I don't know if anyone uses Bitbucket anymore, but it was an internal code repository. So I did manage to get access to Bitbucket, and I took a bunch of their source code, just randomly, out of some of the repos that I could see. I don't remember if there were any repos that I wasn't allowed to see technically, but I took a bunch of, like, just code, and then they wanted me to try and exfiltrate data. They specifically said try and exfiltrate data because they had solutions in place to detect data exfiltration. So I didn't want to try and actually exfiltrate their data. So instead, I took code from my own GitHub and used it in place of theirs. I did pull down code from their repos onto the laptop just to simulate that I was pulling down their code. But then I actually tried to exfiltrate my own code, so that I wouldn't compromise them in any way. I just exfiltrated it via, I can't remember if I used a third-party solution at that time. I don't think I did. I think I just used, we had set up C2 infrastructure ahead of time with, like, categorized and aged domains, and, like, with a dummy PHP web page running in Apache. And I threw up a PHP page that would just accept a file upload, and then I just uploaded the file to it. I think they were mostly looking for data exfil via, like, Google Drive and Dropbox and stuff like that, and they weren't looking for just uploading a file to a random web page, I guess. But they didn't see that at all. They didn't see any of that. And so for about a week of just enumerating, very low and slow. Again, this stuff just takes a long time if you want to be stealthy. And stealth was of the utmost importance to this client. So first week, I did exfiltrate data towards the end of the week, but that is as far as it went. Then the next week, they were like, okay, we want you to try to escalate on the laptop. I'm like, okay, that's going to be a little bit more spicy. So now I have to think outside the box. Okay, so I look at all the third-party software that's installed. I don't see any vulnerabilities that allow me to like back in those days. I remember there were vulnerabilities in like even an an EDR platform once that allowed me to hop to local admin.
Yeah.
There's all that, but I didn't see any at that time. But what I was interested in was that I had installed some stuff via this App Store solution. So the way this App Store solution worked is you would go onto their App Store and you would say, I want Firefox or something, because I had installed Firefox. And you would say, I want to get Firefox. You'd go through like a whole cart system. You didn't have to pay anything, but there was a whole cart, and then you check out, and then you get an email that said, Firefox should be being installed shortly. And then like the little Windows notification would pop up a few minutes later that would said Firefox is being installed or something like that. So there's some automated solution that is remoting into my machine that I can surmise that is remoting into my machine to install Firefox. And then after it was done installing, and this is key, it just opened. Like the Firefox window just popped up. So I said to myself, what's the likelihood that when something is installed with this automated solution, with this app store, that it's being installed with admin permissions, and that those admin permissions are also being used to open the program automatically after installation. Is Firefox running? Was Firefox running with admin permissions? With local admin permissions? Was the question I was asking myself. So I went back onto the App Store to find something that I would be able to easily execute code in. And this was a tech company. There were quite a few things. There was VS Code is what I eventually went with. And I went and installed VS Code. The whole process repeated itself. And then VS Code opened at the end, and it said administrator up at the top. And VS Code has its terminal function, so you can open up the terminal, and now I can execute code as administrator. So it was as simple as that, and now I have administrator level access to the machine. And that's such a dumb little thing, but honestly, that's like most of the business. That's like most of it is that it's simple, dumb little tricks like that compromise entire companies. So they didn't detect anything. I also found other programs in there that would execute code with administrator permissions. But now I've escalated. This was only this is the beginning of the week. I had only barely started. So you still there? It looks like you're uh-oh. What just happened? Did we lose you guys? Are we still live right now? It looks like we lost him. This is my stream now. Welcome everybody. This is now an Alh4zr3d stream now.
We're still live. Hi everybody. I'm Randall on the back end. I think Steve will be rejoining here. Yeah, he's just rejoining in a sec. There we go.
That's why I have two internet connections. One failed, bringing the other one up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that. Everything okay on your end?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So again, simple tricks and nonsense, man. The Han Solo solution, simple tricks and nonsense. So now I have administrator without them detecting me. And so now they're like, okay, we want you to try to move laterally. So now I'm like, okay, so, oh boy. So that's going to be hard because I don't have. I thought long and hard about how I wanted to do this because moving laterally was going to be the highest threat so far. I knew they had CyberArk, so if I was going to move laterally, it should probably either be to CyberArk or it should be to somebody who already had CyberArk credentials. So what I eventually decided to do was I determined that you can't even uninstall stuff on your own on these boxes. You are so restricted on these boxes that you are not allowed to even uninstall things. In order to uninstall a program on one of these boxes, you needed to call tech support, and they would remote into your machine to determine or to uninstall the thing. The thing that was actually installing the program only had administrative permissions on my box. It was probably some automated solution that was grabbing credentials from CyberArk. So trying to grab those credentials wasn't going to do me any good, because those credentials were probably expired by then anyways. So I was going to need somebody else to remote into my machine with higher level permissions, is what I was thinking. And then I was going to have to pull the credentials out of Alh4zr3d and use them. And I was going to have to move fast, because running Mimikatz, even as fully obfuscated as I had it at the time, was extremely high risk in this environment. So I called tech support, and I had them remote into my machine to uninstall Firefox. And all that went fine. I thanked him. He got off. And then as soon as he was off, I was waiting with Mimikatz, like download and run mimikatz.ps1. Again, this was 2018. So PowerShell tradecraft was still like very much a thing. I mean, it still is a thing. But it was more a thing back then. We hadn't moved to .NET quite yet, or C# yet. Now we're in sort of .NET and running .NET from native, and BOFs and things like that. But back then we didn't have the BOFs were a twinkle in Cobalt Strike's eye at that time. So it was Mimikatz.ps1, baby. Ran Mimikatz.ps1, and it's obfuscated. And I even obfuscated the Mimikatz DLL that it was pulling down, but apparently not enough, because they did catch it. But it was allowed to run. It at least ran and dropped his credentials right out of memory. And at that time, I just tried to remote desktop into the domain controller. I just fired it off, remote desktop into domain controller. And I was sitting on the domain controllers. I did succeed in remote desktoping into the domain controller. So whoever logged it, so the IT guy had domain admin permissions when he remoted into my machine. And I was gathering screenshots when the Goon Squad showed up to drag me out of there. So yeah, that was an interesting one. It's not like super technical or anything. That's what's cool about it, though, in my opinion. Like I was operating in a highly restricted environment, and a lot of times in these highly restricted environments, that's what you need. You need like a simple, just a simple trick. Like people, you're not trying to like hack the Gibson or something like that. You're just trying to fool somebody really quickly. You're exploiting human nature here, man. That's ultimately what's being exploited in these kinds of moments. Yeah. So that was one of the coolest ones I did over the course of like a month. That was the same. That assessment was very lengthy. So that was only the last couple of weeks of it. Before that, we compromised them. We got their. They were using two-factor authentication for everything. And again, this was 2018. Now we're used to Duo and stuff like that. But in those days, there was no there was Duo, but Duo was new. They were using Duo. That was the first time I think I ever saw it on an engagement. Duo. So but we managed to successfully phish their CTO. We phished their CTO using stuffed credentials. We were just using any credentials from the list of we were just pulling from leaked databases. And it happened that the CTO was in there. And we called her and hey, ma'am, and we were pretending to be someone from her IT department. We were impersonating an actual name from their IT department, and we were spoofing their IT number as well. We had done a lot of OSINT on this company, so we had a lot of this was very well thought out, is my point. And we managed to we asked her, hey, are you still using this? Your password has showed up in a leak database, and it's been leaked, and we need you to change. We understand you probably don't use this password anymore. We said her password over the phone to like rapport. You're operating with lizard brain thoughts here. It's like, this is lizard brain stuff. Like, you want to like make it seem legitimate, and like without her having to think about if it's legitimate or not, if that makes any sense. So we said her password. She's like, oh yeah, that's an old password, and I don't use it anymore. I'm like, well, just for protocol, we're gonna have you change your password anyway. And we had her browse to a fake password portal. We had cloned their password reset portal. We had found a password reset portal for one of their websites or something while doing active reconnaissance on their external infrastructure. And we cloned it and had her put in a new password, as well as her old password, of course, into that fake form. And then I was the guy in the chair. Someone else was making the phone call. I wasn't doing the cool part, but I was the guy in the chair who was like, okay, her password is this. And I typed it in. I tried to log into the VPN as her. And then it gave me the 2-factor prompt. And I was like, okay, man. And he was like, okay, man, we're just going to send you send you a duo push just to verify this. And that was the duo push of us logging in under her VPN. So we got into the CTO's account that way. We tried another vector, which did not work, a hardware vector. This was funny. This is a funny one that my friend is a pharmacist and loves this story. So this same client. We did a lot of work for this client. Same client. My idea. This was my idea. I take credit for this idea. It failed, but I still take credit for it. I wanted to try distributing backdoored USB mice. Internally, we had an internal employee who was like an insider, and I was like, hey, I'll go to Best Buy. I'm gonna get a bunch of those Logitech mice that have the little USB dongle, like they're wireless USB mice that have the little dongle, and those dongles look essentially indistinguishable from the smaller flash drives, right? And I had just learned at DEF CON that year how to remove tamper-proof tape and then reattach how to remove adhesive like on a sticker or a tamper-proof tape, and then re-stick it afterwards so it looked like it was never opened. So I bought a bunch of flash drives, little tiny USB dongle flash drives, and then a bunch of those wireless mice, and then I loaded all of the USB drives with this. At the time, it was very experimental, but this Twitter-based C2 backdoor, like it was using Twitter DMs for C2, essentially, and that was entirely custom. I wrote it at that time, and I haven't used it in 6-7 years now, but I used it then, and I loaded all the USB dongles with this Twitter C2 backdoor. And then I removed the seal on the Best Buy has the boxes with the USB mice are sealed up with like sticker or tape or whatever you want to call it. I removed it using acetone or nail polish remover, and I needed a syringe. I needed like a needle and a syringe with nail polish remover. So I went to Walgreens. And it had never occurred to me before this moment that it might be kind of hard to get a syringe. This had never occurred to me in my life. It just had never occurred to me that maybe people might have questions for somebody who walks into a Walgreens asking for syringes.
Just come to San Francisco where I am. It's easy.
Yeah. I guess times have changed now. But at that time, thankfully, I was wearing like short sleeves and stuff. But I walk into Walgreens and I get nail polish remover, no problem. But the syringes, they don't have any syringes. And again, it's still not clicking in my brain that maybe they don't just sell syringes for reasons that people might use syringes for not so great things. So I went to their pharmacy and asked, like, hey, and they explained, well, they actually looked down at my arms. Like, I was wearing short sleeves at that time. It was so they could see that, like, I don't have any puncture marks on my arms. And I think that's what clued me into the fact that, oh my God, it's a drugs thing, isn't it? And it genuinely had not occurred to me in that moment. And I explained, listen, I have this nail polish remover, and I just need to use this to remove a sticker and then stick it back on again. This is like a cool little thing I learned to do like a month ago. And eventually they bought it and sold me some like a package of insulin, like diabetic insulin syringes, and I used those to remove the sticker, to unstick the sticker from that was sealing shut these Logitech mice, and then I replaced the USB dongle thing with the flash drives. Obviously, the mouse isn't going to work, but that's not going to matter. And I made a nice explanation sheet of paper to go with the mouse, to say, hey, we're trying out a new wireless mouse. Just plug it in and run the driver, but unfortunately they got intercepted before, like, they got distributed internally, but they got intercepted within like an hour because people saw on the security cameras like somebody distributing mice weirdly to a bunch of these different desks. But we did still compromise a ton of machines using Jacket or something similar to Jacket. It wasn't Jacket, I don't think, but it was it was basically hijacking those wireless mice, doing a wireless attack on those dongles to hijack those devices. But yeah, that was a cool assessment, man. I think I just described basically the whole assessment, like everything we did for them that year. But yeah, I've talked for a long time now. What's next? What's next, Stephen?
You reminded me of one of my old favorite techniques. Doesn't really work anymore, but RDP, machine in the middle. When you use like cane,
classic. Yeah,
it works so well because everybody was like domain admin RDPing all the time. It's great.
Damn, it's always server admins that are RDPing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that. Like, God, I broke into okay, this is an oil company in the middle of nowhere, Texas. I'm not going to name the oil company, but we're talking middle of nowhere, Texas. And by the way, I am seriously ill when I am doing this. I am sick. Like, I have, at the time I didn't know it, but I was in the early stages of a MRSA infection, and I was very ill, with a potentially life-threatening illness that I had to get treatment for in the following days. But at the time I didn't know it. I was just running a high fever. But I broke into this office in the middle of the night. Like, I loitered the door open in the middle of the night, and I found this guy's laptop. I just go, no one leaves, no one locks their offices. No one locked. This was last year. Like, this was recently. So no one locks their offices. I find this guy's laptop. I open it up, and there's a Post-it note on the laptop with exactly what you probably expect is on a Post-it note that is attached to a laptop. And I get this all the time on the stream of people being like, who is really putting Post-it notes with their password on the laptops? Dude, everyone. Like, everyone. Like, this happened last year. And to his credit, it was a strong password. It was a password I never would have guessed. But I didn't have to guess it, did I? So I log into this guy's laptop, and the reason I'm thinking of this in this moment is that the first thing I see as the desktop loads up is all these RDP links. And I'm like, oh my God, this is cash money. I just own the network from this guy's laptop. Like, this is cash money right here. And I got a ton of screenshots. And this, I swear to God, this part is true. I swear to God, nobody believes me. I swear to you need to be the first one, Stephen, okay, to believe me when I say this, okay? But I would not make this up, okay? I open up his Outlook because one of the things I do when I compromise a laptop on a assessment like this is I send an email to myself. This is for the reporting purposes, so I can take a screenshot of it from my own inbox later and show it on the report and say, hey, I compromised this guy's email or whatever. So I open this guy's Outlook, and then the Outlook like reminder window pops up reminding him that he's 12 hours late for his cybersecurity awareness training. And again, nobody believes me when I say that, but that is 100% true. It 1,000% happened. But that was one where I knew I had domain admin the second that I logged into his laptop because of the RDP links. Because no one uses RDP except for server admins and domain admins. That's it.
What I believe even more is that the cybersecurity training wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, I thought about it would have been really unprofessional. It would have been so unprofessional, but I thought about leaving Notepad open on his desktop saying, maybe if you'd taken your cybersecurity training, you would have known not to have a password have your password written on a Post-it note on your laptop in case someone were to break into your office in the middle of the night.
Yeah, those honeypot files, like password.txts, which used to be so tempting to click on, I'm always like, nope, I don't trust it.
Not anymore, dude. Not anymore. Except if it's on someone's desktop. If it's on someone's desktop, that's almost always fine. Like passwords.xlsx is still that's the most common password manager, I think. I see inside networks. But like, yeah, on shares, no. On shares, absolutely not. You don't want to be touching that stuff. But organizations still get compromised, or Uber got compromised that way through a share folder that had a CyberArk password in there. Yeah, so it happens. It's just, yeah, you got to watch out on networks because it depends on how much time you have left. If it's the last day of the assessment, smash and grab, man. You're smashing and grabbing. But if you've still got time, just let it breathe a little bit. Let it breathe. Check the timestamps on the file, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. Cool. Was there anything you'd like to demo or share with folks?
So I mean, full disclosure, you guys do like malware revving and stuff. I don't have anything like that, but I do have. I could fire up my Active Directory lab and show some cool Active Directory attacks, some like non-standard, neat Active Directory attacks. How about that? I could do the web client attack. How's that? I could do. Okay, so let me explain what the web client attack actually is. So the web client service is how Windows does WebDAV. It's like a WebDAV server. It doesn't come installed by default on Windows Server, but you're going to see it a lot. You will see it a lot on internal networks. If what the WebDAV service itself is not vulnerable. It's not really exploiting the WebDAV service. But you should know that when you have the WebDAV service, you can probably get full admin on that machine. So I can demonstrate that right now if you want.
Yeah.
I think that should probably work if the demo gods are kind. Okay, so it might be helpful. I can go ahead and screen share here. Just go ahead and okay. So you can see my cabin now, my cabin desktop here. Okay, so I think a quick paint stream would be helpful here. That's
the best editing tool for sure.
Yeah. It would be helpful to like point out what we're actually doing because this attack is kind of involved. There's a lot going on, and somebody who's not as familiar with like network-based security, you guys do a lot of like malware reverse engineering and stuff like that. This is technical in a different way. This is like NTLM relay and shadow credentials and silver tickets and stuff like that. So I think that it would help to just do a quick run through to make sure everyone's on the same page. So here we are. We'll just call this Kali. This is our attacker machine. We're Kali, okay? And then we're on an Active Directory domain. We are connected to an Active Directory domain. So we're going to call this, my box is called Server 1, or SRV1 is its host name. So we'll call it SRV1, okay? And then we have, of course, the domain controller. So we'll just call that DC. Okay, so those are the three machines that are going to be involved in this attack that we're going to do. Now, SRV1 here has the web client service running. Web client. And this gives it the ability to communicate with machines over HTTP using WebDAV. Does that make sense so far?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the reason this is important is that we're going to be doing an NTLM relay attack. So we're going to be relaying to the domain controller. Okay, and so people who are familiar with NTLM relay attacks and man-in-the-middle attacks on Windows networks in general are going to say, well, Al, flag on the play, because don't DCs usually use SMB signing? And that is true. SMB signing is enabled by default on domain controllers. But you know what isn't so common? LDAP signing. Okay, so LDAP signing is often not enforced on domain controllers. It is not enforced by default, and if LDAP signing is not present and channel binding is not present, you can perform an NTLM relay attack over HTTP to LDAP. As in, we're going to coerce authentication from SRv1. So we're going to coerce, and we're going to get SRv1 to use this web client service to communicate back to us over HTTP. Right? And then we're going to use that to perform an NTLM relay attack to LDAPs. It can be LDAP or LDAPs, it doesn't matter. I always use LDAPs, it doesn't matter in this case. And in so doing, we're going to set and the reason we're doing that is we want to perform this relay as SRv1's machine account, because machine accounts by default have the ability to change their MSDS key credential link. So this is another layer of complexity, but it's one of my favorite avenues for persistence on an account in Windows. So Windows has been trying with middling success to move away from passwords for some time. And one of the ways they've moved away from passwords is using Windows Hello and TPMs. Windows 11 now requires a TPM. And the way that this works, it's trying to move to passwordless authentication. And part of the way it's doing that on the Active Directory side is using public and private key pairs to authenticate to accounts instead of passwords, optionally. It's Windows Hello. You can look it up if you want to read about it. And what's involved is the Active Directory attribute MSDS key credential link. MSDS key credential link contains a number of public keys that are allowed, a number of public keys that correspond to key pairs that are allowed to authenticate to that account. Does that make sense so far?
100%.
Okay. So if we manage to hijack the SRv1 machine account, we can modify the key credential link of SRv1's account and add a key pair so that we can then authenticate as SRv1. We can then authenticate as SRv1 to the domain controller. And if we can do that, we can do some S4U magic to fully compromise SRv1. Does that make sense?
If you're asking me, absolutely.
There's a delay, by the way, but viewers, please ask questions.
Yes,
I'm treating this now like it's my stream, but I understand that this is complicated. But please ask questions. This is a very complicated attack. There are a lot of moving parts. So if you're not already familiar with shadow credentials, which is what this is called when we add a key pair like this, if you're not already familiar with NTLM relay and its nuances, if you're not already familiar with silver tickets, this might leave you in the lurch a little bit. So please ask questions if any of this part is not clear. But if we can authenticate as SRv1, if we can modify SRv1's account on the domain controller, we can authenticate as SRv1, and if we can authenticate as SRv1, we can make a silver ticket. That's what we're going to try and do. Does anybody have any quick questions at the outset? I don't want to make this a full instruction stream, but I don't want to leave anyone in the lurch if they've got a good question. If I could explain something a little bit better, it might make more sense as we do it.
Yeah, not seeing any questions. Just making fun of me for you taking over the stream, but that's all good.
I mean, if I'm talking too much, by all means, I'm used to being on camera and being the only one talking. So if I'm talking too much, please no. Flag it.
It's great. I mean, what is there anything you would want to say about Kerberos? Kind of how it falls in here, or is that just not a factor?
Okay, so Kerberos is a whole thing, but yeah, there's a Kerberos there's a whole Kerberos. I'm pretty sure that even the devs who made Kerberos don't fully understand Kerberos. Kerberos is a fully Lovecraftian beast that no one really fully understands. So there's a lot of complexity that's on the Kerberos side. Kerberos only comes in once we actually have the machine account hash. That's not true. We can once we can add the key pair, we can use Kerberos to authenticate using the key pair. That's where Kerberos first comes in. And then we use Kerberos, some S4U magic that I'm not going to go into, to get the machine account hash for SRV1. So we essentially have the hash for SRV1, SRV1's machine account. Then we can use that machine account hash to forge a silver ticket. So a silver ticket is a Kerberos ticket. And the reason we can forge it using the machine account hash is we're going to use it to access SRV1. And a service ticket needs to be made for this account, this server particularly, and it is encrypted using the machine account hash. This will make more sense when we do it, I think. It'll make more sense. We need to use the machine account hash to forge a silver ticket for SRV1 that will allow us to authenticate as administrator. Does that make sense, at least at the outset? It'll make more sense when we do it, I think.
Yep, that's great. And Abdul's asking, is this similar to when stealing a cloud API key to log in?
No. I mean, stealing it'd be more... I mean, no, I don't think so. It depends on how you're stealing it, I guess, is the question. Normally when I steal a cloud API key, it's with Evil Engine X, which is not a very different kind of attack to this, I would say. When I steal an API key with Evil Engine X, it's very different from this. In this case, we're forcing this machine to authenticate to us. We're gonna force this machine to authenticate to us, and we're gonna use that authentication to relay to the domain controller and say, I mean, I guess you could say we're kind of exploiting I guess actually if I'm understanding Abdul's question correctly, it kind of is if you treat this like the victim that we're stealing the API key from. Does that make sense? If we're stealing this person's key essentially to access their account on the domain controller, modify their account, and then authenticate to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. It's just we can't just charge tokens with their API key, those, unfortunately.
Correct. Yeah, unfortunately, no. Yes. Where are these keys stored? Client side. On the client side, you just generate a key pair. You can store the private key wherever you want. You'll see. Let's just jump in and we'll take it one step at a time. How's that? We'll jump in. We'll take it one step at a time. Does that sound good?
Yep.
I should have probably done this ahead of time. Let me go ahead and restart the version.
Somebody's saying you pronounce it the right way, Evil Engine X. I'm one of the evil jinx sayers from Kubagretzky, so it's a divisive way of speaking.
I'm the only one. I'm the only holdout at my in my current team that is currently saying Evil Engine X and not Evil Jinx. I mean, Engine X is pronounced Engine X. We don't call it N-Jinx, okay? I don't know. It just makes more sense this way. Okay, so we're starting some virtual machines here. These are the virtual machines we're going to be using. It might be easier if I just log into them. Then I can demonstrate this as we go, or at least there's some key. There are some nuances to this attack that I haven't actually been through yet. So let's go ahead and log into these. Okay. And I'm doing this, by the way, if we run into problems, I'm doing this entirely off the cuff. So I hope this works. I hope this works. I haven't done this attack in a little bit. I do it on live networks all the time, but I haven't done it inside of my personal lab in some time. So let's hope it works. Demo gods, please. One time. One time, demo gods. I'll be nice. All right, here we are. Okay, so this is the domain controller, and the other one is SRV1. Okay, so let's pull up Kali now. I had Kali running already. So let's pull him over here. So this is my Kali machine. Let's open up a terminal here. It looks like it's showing up okay on the stream. Okay, we got a terminal. Let's
yeah, maybe a little bit bigger on the font if you can, but otherwise great.
Yeah, I'll make it bigger. I'll make it bigger.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right there. There we go. Yep. Let's just make their stream demo. Let's go into stream demo, and let's tmux new tech s stream demo. And there we go. Okay, so we're in my tmux pane, my trusty tmux pane, and okay. So the first thing we're gonna have to. Okay, so what do I want to do first? Let's just start. NTLM relay, and then we can forget about it until. Okay, so impact it. Oh, it already has it. That's nice. I think that's correct. Okay, so that's my DC. Okay, so this is NTLM relay. This is in the impact it library. Everyone's familiar with hopefully impact it. But this has come standard on Kali. We want to set the target, which is the domain controller. Remember, we're relaying to the domain controller. That's where we're directing these authentication attempts to. We're going to do a shadow credential attack in particular. We're going to target the account, the specific account that we are trying to attack. And I just have it no validate permissions just to reduce the traffic. It's not going to matter. I don't think you really need that. So we run it. It starts. Cool. All right. And we can use, what I like to use this for is KRB Relay X. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is there's a little bit of a nuance with this attack that I haven't mentioned. The nuance is that WebDAV hates IP addresses. Windows hates IP addresses in general. As far as like for services like WebDAV. So what we need is for our Kali machine right here to not just be some IP address on the network. It needs to actually resolve to a it needs to actually have a host name that can be resolved. Does that make sense?
Yep.
The good news is that dynamic DNS exists, so this usually is not a problem. So I think I was using DNS tool for something recently. I might have been just using it. It might be remembering the last time I tried to do this attack.
It's always good.
Because I sometimes when I'm doing this attack on a network, I'll usually do it in my internal lab to remember how to do it because it's kind of involved. And if you're making changes on the network, I like to make sure that what I'm doing is going to do exactly what I want it to do. But this is correct, I think. Okay, so let me break down this command. This is you need at least, to do this attack, you need at least a base level of user credentials. Usually any low privilege credentials on the Active Directory domain will work, but that's what these are. These are low privilege credentials. These don't have any elevated permissions on the domain. This is the DC IP, the DNS IP. Then we have you can change this to anything you want. We'll make it Cthulhu Kali. We'll make it something else. We'll make it something else in case it's already in there, because it looks like I did this attack before recently. We'll call it Stream Kali. We'll call it Stream Kali. Okay. So that's the host name we're going to set it to. We're going to try to. And for those who don't know, domain controllers are also DNS servers. And to facilitate new machines being added to the network and being joined with the domain and so on, there is dynamic DNS, whereas a user can dynamically add new DNS entries onto the network. So that's all we're doing here. This is normally allowed, like on networks, because it's how you add machines to the domain. Okay. And then we have the data being added. This is the IP address of my Kali machine. You can see this if we do go over here and we do ipconfig or ifconfig. We do ifconfig. You can see that my this is on my internal network. This is on an isolated internal network, and my Kali's IP address is 10.10.10.100. So we're setting a host name called Stream Kali and setting its data to our IP address. We're adding an A record. We're doing it over LDAPs, because I always do it over LDAPs, and we're targeting the domain controller. Should be pretty straightforward. Please don't give me a hard time. Sometimes this gives me a hard time. It doesn't look like it's going to give me a hard time this time. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So it looks like it succeeded. So the easiest way to see if it succeeded or not is if we just go to the domain controller. So this is the DC. We can go to DNS. We can DNS manager, forward lookup zones, insmithnet.local, stream Kali. You can see it right there. So you can see that we have added. And we see that it's set to our Kali host IP address. Is everyone following me so far? We needed to do this because WebDAV wants host names and not IP addresses. In the coercion. Does that make sense? So now we can do the actual attack. So the way you can do this with like Coercer, I'm pretty sure, but since I was already using DNS tool to modify it, I'll just use printer bug right here. That's what I usually do on real networks. Is that going to remember that too? It looks like it does. Sweet. Love my history right now. Loving my history right now. This doesn't matter. You can change this to anything. This part at the end does not matter. This is just some endpoint for it to. What we're doing here is we are coercing authentication. It might be too long. In case that's too long, let's just trim it down. We are coercing authentication from SRv1 back to us over HTTP. Does that make sense? We're forcing server 1 using a known Microsoft has determined its intended functionality, so it's a known exploit, if you will, in the printer function to force SRv1 to communicate back to us over HTTP specifically. It has to be HTTP. Because we want to relay to LDAPs, and we can't do that from SMB because the DC will enforce SMB signing. So we set it to stream. This is where we use the host name. The IP address will not work here. The IP address will not work here. This is where you need a host name, and you're telling it what port to communicate on. We're just going to tell it to communicate on port 80, because we know that our NTLM relay X is listening on port 80. Which it should be. Yes, it is. It's listening on port 80. Okay, so I think we're good to go. Other than that, it is this is our domain credentials again, just from above, and this is the target that we're aiming at, which is SRv1. So let's see if it works. We're getting an error. Did we get a communication? We did not. Let's just change it back. Maybe this does matter. I don't think it should.
Someone's asking, is this similar to Petit Potam?
So it is very similar to Petit Potam, yes. Coercer would use Petit Potam. We had a bunch of errors. Key error identity.
Demo gods woke up.
Yeah, it looks like it. Damn it. Stream Kali at 80. What am I forgetting? I'm forgetting something. I must be forgetting something. Am I forgetting? It says it triggered it, but it may or may not have worked. It could. Oh, I forgot to start the web client service. Okay. So let's learning. Okay, so this is what I should have done ahead of time. I should have shown you this. I forgot about this. Okay, so you want to enumerate for the WebDAV service, and the way you do that is by doing this. Okay, so we're using netexec here. Very common tool, netexec, with its WebDAV module. And the WebDAV module did not speak up here, so it does not have the WebDAV client running. Usually, what I would do with this on a network is I would just like scan the entire subnet, essentially, scan an entire subnet looking for this WebDAV service. But I forgot to start the WebDAV service because it's not set. It's not set to enabled or to start automatically, so I have to start it. Services. So let's just do that right now. We'll just scroll down. Web client right here. So if we just start this. Okay. I knew I had to be forgetting something. Okay, let's give it a second. We'll give it a second. But now if we do it now, there we go. Right there. So now it says the web client service is enabled. So now it should work. And yeah, you can almost certainly use Coerce Plus for this forward prefectus. Almost certainly. This is the way I normally do it because it gives me the most control over the process. The issue with like Coercer is it's just going to spam over and over again. And I like to have the most control over the process that I can. So this should work now, I think. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It looks the same, but I bet you we did get a connection. We did. Okay, so this time we did get a connection. We got a few connections actually. So if we take a look at what we generated, insufficient rights. Did it not? Reports insufficient rights. Because I don't think it actually worked. It looks like it worked, but I don't think it actually worked. What if I do this? What if I just remove this? Let's try it again now. Again, demo gods are being a little weird right now. Yeah, it's not. Now I'm not getting any connections at all. Damn it. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, this is the best way people learn, so it's good for people.
Yeah, well, we're learning today, boys. If I just change that, I guess. We didn't get a connection again. Fuck. I might end up using Coercer if it keeps.
Yeah, that first one said something. The first one said something about the user or domain not existing, maybe.
SRV1. I wonder if I should. I mean, that's the username. SRV$1 is the username. I mean, now I'm not even. It's not even. It doesn't seem to be even giving me a connection. Is it complaining? Did this complain in any way? I don't think so. Let's try restarting the WebDAV service and see if it. Of course, it's going to give me a hard time. Let's try one more time. I wonder if I might end up using Coercer. Okay, well, we got a connection that time. See, it's generating the certificate. Could not modify object. I don't know why. It definitely has the permissions. It definitely has the permissions. So yeah, this attack is really, target account does not exist, wrong domain. Well, it already, it found the user here. It does the whole thing. It generates a key pair. It generates a certificate with a key pair. And it tries to update the key credential link attribute. I wonder if I can just use PyWhisker and just clear out all of the... I wonder if there's just... Maybe I've done this attack too many times. Is that even possible? Have I done this attack too many times? At this point, if I've gotten this far with it, it almost always works. If it still doesn't, we'll try it one more time. If it still doesn't work, I'm going to try to just change it to Cthulhu. I don't think I care. This seems like it's actually working. And then this is failing me. So, yeah, we're trying the... I wonder if I just clear out... Let's try opening up a... let's just open up the DC here. Let's do ADSI. And I bet, like, we can just open up... Connect. Okay. Let's open up users. Or it'd be under machines, actually. Computers, yeah. Computers, SRV1. Where does it put... Oh, domain computers. Where is... How am I blanking on how active ADSI is laid out in this moment? Where is the machine account? Oh, is it servers maybe? Where did I put it? Something is fucky here. Domain computers maybe? Where are the machine accounts? Does casing matter? Because maybe it's a resolving problem. I don't think it's a resolving problem. It is resolving.
CN computers or CN equals computers or something?
Yeah, I thought I tried that. Yeah, I tried that. I'm just looking for the machine account. Oh, maybe this is the machine account. I hit properties. Yeah, I'm okay. I needed to do that. Okay, here's what we're looking for MSDS key credential link. Here's where it is. Here's where it all is right here. Can we edit this? Okay, so I cannot modify this directly, I don't think. All right, we'll clear it out with PyWhisker then. It could be I've just added a lot to it.
Someone's asking if the domain controller was patched recently.
No, this domain controller hasn't been patched in a few years.
Cool.
It is out of date. PyWhisker.
And Abdul's saying does casing matter because the first tool has...
Yeah, I don't think it does. I don't think it does. Which tool are we talking about?
Just that the first tool has ins.
Because we're getting a relay. It is relaying successfully. We are. I don't think casing matters. I don't think it should matter. No. And then the second one. Did I spell everything correctly? SRV$1. It needs the $sign at the end of it. It is finding the account. Let me just pull PyWhisker down. I'll use PyWhisker to clear out the all the key credentials, and we'll go from there. Stupid demo gods. Let's do this.
And for those of you who join later, just to let you know, next Friday. I'll be in Amsterdam, but we'll be teaching a class on advanced Windows kernel exploitation. So we'll be streaming a module of that. I'll advertise it soon if you want to check it out.
Damn, that sounds awesome. Okay. You're gonna be when are you streaming that? Because I think I want to tune in for that. That's
next Friday in Amsterdam time. Probably I got to figure out which module makes the most sense, but sometime on Friday, like time would it be here? Might be like 5 or 6 in the morning East Coast time. I don't know.
Man, that's gonna be it's can't find main model. What the fuck is the problem now? Oh, I'm an idiot. CD Alh4zr3d. Okay, here we go. All right, so I want to clear them all. I know there's an option for clearing them all. TCP cert files are good to me. EFX password. Is there an action? I thought for sure I could. Okay, action. Clear. I guess clear probably. Okay, so let's got username. Sorry, I have to figure this out on the fly. Let's just do it. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. I'm just gonna use domain admin credentials to do it. Clear these out. Tac DC IP 10.10.10.10. And then the target account, which is SRV1 $, and then TAC A clear. Okay, now we can check it on the domain controller and verify it worked. Let's refresh it just to be safe. Properties. Check it and make sure it's been cleared out. Okay, it's been cleared out. So we've cleared out MSDS key credential link. So now let's try it again. I don't know if that's going to help, but it is possible it will. You would not want to do that on a real assessment, by the way. You would definitely not want to do that. Oh, see, we got a different error this time, didn't we? What do you mean permission denied? What do you mean? Oh, I'm in the wrong. Oh, that one did work. I was just in the wrong folder. Whoops. Whoops. My bad. I forgot I was in the stream demo folder. Okay, let's try it now. I guess we'll use Alh4zr3d to wipe them out again. Okay, we cleared it. Now let's try it. Oh, it may not coerce now because now LDAP needs to be restarted. Or now the web client service needs to be restarted. I apologize, this is so finicky.
No worries. I think people enjoy it. So when you go in front of do a presentation at a conference, they make you pre-record the demo, and it works flawlessly every time. Like that's not the real world.
This time it did work. This time it did work.
Nice.
So yeah, it looks like I've done this attack a whole bunch of times on this machine. So it looks like it only tolerates a certain number of MSDS key credential links before it stops accepting them. But this time it did work. You can see that. Let's look at what it actually said. Searching for target account, target user found, it found SRV1. generating certificate. So NTLM Relay X takes care of this on the back end. It generates a key pair. It uploads the private key, or the public key, excuse me. It uploads the public key to MSDS key credential link of the SRV1 object, and then it saves the certificate and key to the file system. So now we have this PFX here. This is our certificate and our private key. And if we go on to the DC again, we can hit refresh just to be safe. And we can look at properties, scroll down, and we can see that the key credential link has been injected again. This is in a weird Windows proprietary binary format, but so don't worry about the actual formatting of this. What we can see is that we have modified this attribute properly. Okay. Yeah, IPSec is fantastic. A personal hero of mine. He would be great on one of these streams if you haven't had him on. Okay, so let's go back. So now we have our PFX. So now what do we do with our PFX? We can use Certify to authenticate with this. It's encrypted with this password. So we can do Certify. Yep, see, it remembers the last time I did this. So I need to change the name of the PFX to you, and then change, or to that thing, and then change that to the password. We're authenticating to the domain controller as SRV1, and again, we're now using the key pair that we've injected into this account, to SRV1's account, to authenticate as that account. And it might take a second. Kerberos is doing its PK init is doing its thing. So it may take a second. So we're trying to authenticate as SRV1 using shadow credentials. This is a shadow credential attack. This is also very used. There we go. So we see we have paydirt here. So we got a TGT for SRV1. I bet you it saved it right here. So this is our Kerberos ticket granting ticket, our Kerberos TGT, and we see that Certify has already taken care of doing all the S4U nonsense to get the machine hash. So this is the actual hash of the machine account password for SRV1. So we can verify that if we try and authenticate. We can try and authenticate to SRV1 using its own account, its own domain account. Using that hash to verify that it is correct. Always put a $sign at the end of it. Machine accounts have a $sign at the end of them. And we can see we can authenticate. But you might say, well, Al, what good is this to me? Because we already had low privilege credentials. Domain accounts, a machine's domain account does not by default have administrative permissions over the machine itself. Okay, so we have effectively moved laterally on this machine, but we do not have local admin permissions just yet. Does that make sense? But we can get local admin because this machine account hash is used to encrypt Kerberos tickets. So when you have access to the material that's used to encrypt a Kerberos ticket, you can just make your own Kerberos ticket. Okay, so we can do that with Ticketer, but we do need the domain SID. We need the domain SID, so we can use RPC client to do that. Oh, look, it even remembers RPC client. This is the only thing I ever use RPC client for. Okay, so we have a domain SID. We need the domain SID. You could get this any number of different ways. By the way, you could get this from LDAP. You could get this from, if you already ran Bloodhound on the domain, you can pull the domain SID out of it. It's really easy. But this is a quick way to get it. So then we can, okay, in packet, please remember Ticketer as well, please. It does remember Ticketer. Fantastic. Goody. Okay, so Ticketer is going to forge a silver ticket it's going to forge a new silver ticket for the CIFS service on SRV1. CIFS, CIFS, I've even heard it called. CIFS is a good service to get a silver ticket for on a machine when you're taking over because it has broad permissions over the file system, over the registry. By default, it can access the machine remotely. So you need any service that can access the machine remotely. Then the domain SID, which is right here. The domain, which is innsmouthnet.local. Then the spin, which is CIFS on srv1.innsmouthnet.local. And then whatever username you want to make. I'm just making it administrator. That's the domain admin. I could make it, you guys have seen Obed Marsh already, so we'll call it obed.marsh. He's my domain admin, other than the default administrator account, but it'll be clearer if I use Obed Marsh, I think. So we are forging a silver ticket for Obed Marsh. Okay, so we now have our silver ticket. We can export KRB5CC name, Obed Marsh. I think that should work. Okay, now we can use impacket wmyexec. Now this is very finicky. Use all caps when you do this. Kerberos absolutely hates IP addresses and really wants everything in all caps. Obed.marsh at srv1.innsmouthnet.local. And we can skip the password. You can do it. Yes. And there we are. So we now have the permissions of a domain admin on srv1.innsmouthnet.local. So we went from low privilege credentials on the domain, use the web client service to coerce an NTLM relay attack to authenticate to the domain controller and modify its shadow credential attribute. And then we forged a silver ticket using the machine account hash that we compromised that way. And we have accessed this machine with elevated permissions now. So at this point, this happens to me, my ADCS server. So at this point, I could just export the ADCS private key and certificate, and then I own the entire domain. I can make certificates that will allow me to authenticate to the entire domain, however I choose. Do we have any questions on that? I know it's a very involved attack, but this is an attack I use all the time on real networks. If you learn this attack, it'll do pay dirt. It'll make pay dirt for you on real networks.
Yeah, definitely ask questions if you have them for Al here. So we're probably gonna be wrapping up pretty soon. But awesome demo. Again, I know it's annoying, but I'm glad you ran into problems because that's exactly what everybody else runs into. And sometimes it's just something silly. You're like, "Oh, I forgot something dumb," but that's usually what it is.
It's the demo gods, man. In that case, I had never run into that particular error. Usually, if I manage to get the coercion to work, that's the big hurdle. Getting the coercion to work is a big hurdle. But once NTLM Relay X is capturing authentication attempts, almost always it works. So, I wasn't really sure what happened there, but it apparently clearing out MSDS key credential link worked out fine. So that's obviously something you're not going to be able to do on a regular network unless you already have elevated permissions. But you won't have to. Networks aren't often using MSDS key credential link and Windows Hello, and if they are, they're only using a couple of key pairs in there. I've probably done this attack probably a dozen times. I often fire up this network to do this attack before I'm about to do it on a real network because it is so involved, to remind myself how to do it before I actually do it on a network. So it looks like I just did it one too many times.
Yes, the question, can we do the domain compromise with ADCS as you mentioned?
Yeah. I think Certify can do that natively. Certify. Let's find out. It used to be that it could pull down, find or parse They've moved Certify around since the last time I did this particular attack. Oh, by the way, Certify can also use shadow credentials, but it can't, and it could have also done the relay portion of this as well. NTLM Relay X is, I'm pretty sure it's using NTLM Relay X on the back end though. So maybe Forge. Maybe it's under Forge. Forge is what we would use to actually make the certificate. I'm just trying to remember how to actually do this. Certificate. It might have been Certify Auth, maybe? Certify Auth. I'm like 99% sure Certify could just extract the like, we might not have time to go through this. I don't know how long you want the stream to go on for.
Yeah, no worries.
There used to be a way for Certify to do this. They may have removed it or something. They've moved it around since the last time I did this. To be clear, I normally don't, even if I demonstrate the ability to compromise the ADCS server and steal the template and steal the root certificate. I usually don't do it because it is so dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not dangerous to the domain. It won't hurt the domain in any way. But what it is dangerous to is if it skeeves me out, because if it gets leaked, if anyone gets access to your data and it gets leaked, anyone could compromise the entire company that way. That is an extremely sensitive bit of data. So I rarely do the attack where I actually extract the root certificate and private key and forged certificates, unless the company is really okay with it.
Yeah.
So I have not done it in a couple of years, I think. And so Certify was moved around a little bit. So they may have, I'm not sure. But yeah, if we don't want to sit through that, that's fine. I can keep poking at it, but it's up to you. This is your stream.
No, it's cool. I mean, I think everybody gets the point. I think the rules of engagement are more important than anything. And like you said, it's usually not something that people want you to do.
Yeah, it's usually something I don't do unless I have explicit permission to do it.
Yeah.
Because it is right here. Backup. We can try it right now. We can try Certify. I don't know if it's going to work, by the way. CA. And backup certificate and private key. And then I can have it authenticate with Kerberos, I would assume, right? We can try it really fast. If it works, it works. Okay.
Sure.
Attack K. Backup. What else does it want from me? Configuration string. Config machine CA. Okay. We can do config. And then the CA, I think it wants the CA configuration string, but I don't remember what is my CA called even. Certify. Let's just do Certify find really fast. Oh, this was on a Hack the Box machine that I was doing recently. I'm trying to remember what the name of my CA was without having to look it up. We can open up ADCS on here. Okay, ADCS. Certification authority. I just need to know the name of the CA. InSmithNet SRV1 CA. That sounds right. Okay, and then actually, it may not let me. Wait, I don't know how Certify is going to want to do this. We'll just do attack K, and then we'll do target. Target is Oh, we might have to make it all caps, don't we? Because this is Kerberos we're using to authenticate. Do that. Okay. And then we can put the DC IP 1010. 10. And there it is.
Nice.
Okay. Easy peasy. So this is the PFX. We can now forge. Let's just forge a certificate really fast. Okay. Certify forge. So and I have to emphasize, on a real network, this is an extremely sensitive bit of data. Like this data, if it was leaked, could compromise the entire, it could on its own cause an entire security breach. This is a very dangerous piece of data to have. You want this encrypted with some, this is not encrypted right now, by the way. So you would want this encrypted, and when you wipe it, you really want to wipe it. Very, very, very dangerous stuff. Be very careful doing this on a real network. I do not recommend pulling the root certificate unless you have their explicit permission to do so. Okay, so can I just put CA PFX and CA password? Okay, certify forge CA PFX is InSmithNet. And then doesn't have a password because certify doesn't set a password by default. And then we can change the because we're forging a certificate. We're not requesting a certificate. We are just forging. You can actually set a template if you want, but I don't think you really need to. I can just make the subject administrator. At insmithnet.local. Let's see if that works. Oh boy. Debug. What does it want? Value error. Maybe it doesn't like the @ symbol in there. Just remove administrator. Nope, still doesn't like it. I haven't forged a certificate with Certify in quite a while. It clearly, like, I think Certify is just, it wants, maybe I think it wants an option that I'm not sure what option it wants. I'm not sure what option it's looking for. It does, and the help dialog is not helping me. So let's try Certify GitHub. There's an option it wants, and I'm not sure what it needs. There's a wiki for this, isn't there? There we go. Forge, usage, post-exploitation, forging. Okay. Okay. Let's just try this. Okay, let's just try the actual, from the actual wiki. Okay, CAPFX is our InSmithNet. Again, if this doesn't work, we don't have to, like, you can cut me off at any time if you want. I know we're already over time.
Oh, no worries. See if this works, and then we'll wrap it up.
Certify keeps moving their options around. That's what's frustrating. Okay, the SID needs to be whatever the domain SID was with 500 at the end of it. Let's go back up to Ticketer. I used Ticketer in this pane, didn't I? Oh, there's the domain SID right there. And the RID is 500. There we go. Okay, so now we have a forged administrator certificate, and we can do certify auth PFX. Let's just keep all of that. Let's keep all of that. Administrator. There is no password, but I need to change the PFX. There we go. Okay, so now we're trying to authenticate as the other domain administrator. This is the default domain administrator. And there we go. So
nice.
We've dumped the domain, we dumped the hash here, and we can really quickly do netexec smb 10.10.10.10 tac u administrator tac h this, and we can do we can just I'll just demonstrate that it can authenticate. There you go. So we have domain admin on the actual domain server. Sorry, you gotta figure that one out really quickly. Okay.
No, it's awesome. I want to point something out, which is, practicing what you preach. At the beginning of this stream, we were talking about how don't just rely on AI and get the answers, because so easily could have dumped the output into chatbot and says, oh, you just need to do this. But going and looking it up and finding the things, that's how you remember this stuff.
Yeah. And to be clear, that's what I would have done. On a real network, hell yeah, I would have asked Claude. I would have said, hey, Claude, what is this error? But those errors were pretty obtuse. I'm not sure Claude would have had a good answer for that anyways. But like we're not using Claude here, man. We're doing the pull-ups. We're doing the exercise. This is an exercise. And you need to be doing that. Like you just got to do we as an industry need to be prepared to we need to keep our skills sharp. So yeah, we didn't use AI for this. Have a little personal discipline and exercise. This is what I'm trying to say. Mental exercises.
Yep. Awesome stuff, man. Appreciate it. No, it was a great session. When can people expect you back on Twitch again?
I don't think I'm going to make it in this weekend, but they can expect me for Newbie Tuesday next week.
Nice.
Newbie Tuesday on Tuesday, I'm going to be hitting it hard. It's time to hit the nose to the grindstone and make content again. So yeah, expect that next week.
Yeah, great to hear. And it is a big commitment. I've been streaming for a few years now, and just trying to be consistent. It can be challenging at times. I'm sure you see the same.
It's just so much easier to not do it.
Yeah.
It's the issue. It's the loop you get yourself into, and it just goes on indefinitely. And eventually, you just got to put your foot down and yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. But yeah, they can expect me to see me on Tuesday, if nothing else.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much for coming on and joining me. Hope everyone liked the session. This will live up on YouTube afterwards. So in case you missed anything, want to go rewatch something, please do. And would love to have you back on again, Al. So let me know anytime, and happy to visit you as well if you want to get into some exploit dev.
Absolutely. I would love to. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next Friday from Amsterdam. Bye-bye.